Narrative consultation companies like Sweet Baby Inc. are filled with some of the worst people within the video game industry. These are individuals that do not care about making high quality entertainment. They simply care about pushing an agenda, and that is exactly what we have been able to prove time and time and now yet again with this clip that is confirming SBI pressures developers to submit to narrative demands. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I, like many other people, have talked a lot about Sweet Baby Inc. over the past year and a half. There have been so many different stories that have made these people look bad, and Kim Belair really can never help herself. She's constantly saying something like, we need to intimidate the people that we don't agree with, and she is under the belief that they need to try to kick everybody who is not in alignment with them politically out of the video game industry. And now these clips are kind of going, I don't want to say viral on social media, but they're kind of getting a lot of attention very quickly now. I do think it is important to point out that this article is not entirely true. It says, in a revelation that confirms years of speculation, a leaked clip from a Sweet Baby Inc. internal discussion has surfaced, showing narrative designer Cameron Wild describing how a development studio was repeatedly pressured into changing the identity of its characters until it relented. Now, I've actually covered this clip in the past. This is not some like internal leaked clip, but it is a clip that they very clearly didn't want a lot of people like paying attention to. As Kim Belair has said in the past, she kind of wants Sweet Baby Inc. to be able to operate in the shadows. So this is actually a clip that I think is important to cover again because so many people are talking about it, but because they don't want people discussing all of the controversial statements that they've made in the past. It's like with Kim Belair and her, we need to intimidate people. You need to try to make people feel scared that you are going to like do something bad to them. I mean, this is a clip from last year of Kim Belair, and it's only a couple of seconds long, but it definitely gets their point across.
Research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them.
Go have a coffee with this team and terrify them. That is unhinged behavior.
With the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Yeah, guys, if you don't give me what you want, bad things are going to happen to you. What a terrible person. What a terrible thing to say. This is not how you act professional in the world of business. I get that Kim Belair is just another individual who saw a way to make money in the video game industry. She doesn't actually give a fuck about video games, but I mean, everything you need to know about her is public. Everything you need to know about her, every stance that she has, and every reason companies could need to not work with a company like Sweet Baby Inc. are clear as day posted online. So going back to the article, though, it says the footage exposed by Master of the TDS and Writing Raven of Gothic Therapy provides the clearest evidence yet that Sweet Baby Inc.'s narrative consulting process involves far more than creative guidance for developers. It involves calculated emotional and ideological pressure. I also believe that when this clip had kind of gone, again, not like viral, but gotten a lot of attention, about 6 months ago, it was because of Smash JT. So I think that yeah, is very important to point out. Burn it down, Sweet Baby Inc. employee says, burn the games industry to the ground. So this face right here is going to be one you're going to become very familiar with. It says, the latest development adds significant weight to growing concerns that Sweet Baby Inc. is not merely a consulting firm, but a gatekeeping mechanism steering game development towards rigid ideological outcomes, even against a will of studios. In the leaked clip, Wild recounts an interaction with the developer that resisted suggestions about character identity. Rather than collaborating towards a creative solution, Wild describes pressing the studio repeatedly until it gave in. I completely understand in the gaming industry as a customer, voicing your opinions on a product that is already out. When companies expect you to swipe your credit card on a $70 to $130 experience, if you don't like the look of it, fight back against it. Voice your opinions on social media. Don't swipe your credit card. But for somebody within the games industry to feel so high and mighty that they should be able to to go to a studio, demand that they work with their company, and then say, this is why your product fucking sucks, you should hire me, just shows how egotistical these people really are. Being met with a less than optimal response to that and then having to say it again and again and again, they note. The SBI narrative designer also reflected on leveraging personal emotion to make the argument more compelling, admitting that vulnerability was deployed not for mutual understanding, but as a pressure tactic. Ah, yes, I'm going to be sad if you don't do what I want. I'm going to be disappointed with you if you don't do what I want. I'm going to be angry with you. The intent, according to Wild, was not to inform or advise, but to instill enough emotional weight to force compliance. What a terrible thing for somebody to do, and for somebody to say. It's crazy to me that there are so many companies within the industry like Sony and like Microsoft that want to work with Sweet Babies. Now, they did sign contracts for certain projects years and years ago. And now that everybody's become aware of Sweet Baby Inc. and consultation companies that are similar, we haven't seen as many projects being announced with SBI's involvement. That could just mean that the companies like Microsoft have decided to keep it a little bit more hush-hush and not plaster their name on so many products. And Sweet Baby doesn't have their website anymore to kind of market themselves to potential studios that might want to work with them. Though there have still been plenty that we found out, and games that are just really terrible all around. So it's not even like Sweet Baby is helping make a product better. All they're doing is inserting bullshit political ideology, and then they're ruining what could have been at least decent products, like South of Midnight, for example. That was not a 10 out of 10 game by any means, but I thought it had a lot going for it. If it wasn't buggy and broken, if it wasn't a super short experience, and if you weren't constantly being told, oh, hey, by the way, I'm a black woman and I'm oppressed, maybe it could have turned out to actually have been a half decent experience. From what we know, before Sweet Baby Inc. was affiliated with it, Hazel was actually supposed to be a Southern belle, a lighter skinned Southern belle, and instead they turned Hazel into a angry, like angsty teenager, even though she's supposed to be like 19, almost 20. Go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want, Belair had said in a now infamous clip. So we're talking about a pattern of the mindsets that people at these companies have, and it's just not good. If I can't sell them on, hey, don't do that, I can instill fear by suggesting that once it gets past us, someone else will take them down for this, Belair bragged at a separate event. These statements were once waved off as tongue-in-cheek, but now paired with Wild's blunt confessional, they appear far more deliberate, a method, not a joke, something Gothic therapy described as narrative domination. And while Belair's earlier quotes were often dismissed as flippant or out of context, this leaked moment with Wild seems to expose the core strategy behind how Sweet Baby Inc. operates with developers. The exchange wasn't taken out of context, nor was it hyperbole. It was a deliberate reflection on a successful campaign to wear a development team down so that Wild and SBI could get what they wanted. And this philosophy is not hidden. In a public presentation at the Game Developers of Color Expo, the SBI narrative designer included a slide opening stating the goal of burning the games industry to the ground. So we are not talking about people who care about the video game industry. It's like with my channel, the reason why I criticize so many companies and decisions is because I care about video games. I love video games. I want this industry to continue to thrive. I just want people to actually provide content for everybody and not divide. And that is a big thing that is happening in the games industry right now. We are seeing a major divide because so many people that are working at these larger companies say, no, we need to only make products for the people we deem are acceptable customers, which of course never really works out for them because they make games for the modern audience like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and Alan Wake 2, and Dustborn, and Concord, and Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, and those games don't actually sell. So I'll be keeping my eye on Sweet Baby Inc. as I usually do, but this clip is getting a lot of attention right now. And I think that it just highlights the absolutely disgusting people that are working at companies like this. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.